So the world we are living in, no man is an island. We all got our own dreams, and we all got the chance. I said a chance to achieve it. If we do believe it, yeah. I say please don't give up now. Say yes, you can do it. Oh, we all know nothing good is gonna come easy.
Miriam K, and I am the founder and CEO of the Dora Foundation, which is a non-profit foundation that I've set up for sickle cell support and youth development, especially for people back in Africa. For now, we have started in Sierra Leone, which is my motherland, my birthplace, but with support and funding, we do hope to expand, not just even in Africa but beyond, because these issues are a worldwide issue. For many of us living in developed first world countries like the UK, where I currently live, having good healthcare, medical healthcare and education, those are a necessity to us. Those are things that it doesn't matter whether you are rich or poor. These are things that we have access to. In the UK, we have the NHS, which means whether you are rich or you are poor, when you are in need of medical assistance in any way, you are able to access this. But the same cannot be said for many countries around the world, especially those in West Africa. Even education here, when a child is young in the UK, a child goes to school, kids go to school without the parents having to pay school fees on an annual basis. Whereas in Africa, that is not the same, especially Sierra Leone. People have to pay for their kids to go to school. So they're getting good health care and education depends on how wealthy you are. The more money you have, the better health care and education you'll be able to get. So these are issues that have been going on for a very long time, way before even people like me were born, and they're still going on. I was born in Sierra Leone and I spent the first 12 years of my life there. And at the age of 6, I experienced a crisis from sickle cell that changed my life forever. Back then, I didn't know what this was, and I was not actually properly diagnosed until I moved over to the UK when I was 12 years of age. So while in Sierra Leone, I experienced a lot of issues. At one point, I had a crisis that went on for so long. I couldn't even walk. I was bedbound and I had to be taught how to walk. I was there during the war and almost lost my life several times. I was even told I was not going to make it past the age of 16. My family were told to be prepared because at any point anything was going to happen. And I did come close many times. But thanks be to God, it never happened the way they had predicted it, and I'm grateful for that. After I'd been in the UK for years, I started going back home on holiday with my family. And for me, seeing that people were still having the same treatment and experience, especially those with sickle cell, even though it's been so many years after I was there, but yet no improvement has been made. It's something that just bothered me, and I told my family, I kept telling my mom I wanted to do something to help. I know I cannot help everyone, but I wanted to. And I started personally helping, people around, maybe those in the neighborhood that were going through hard times. I started personally taking out my own pocket to help. And the stories that I was hearing, and people dying, and the circumstances at which they were dying, it was just really sad. and I wanted to do something. So after finishing my degree at university, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to find out more because I wanted to know more about what's happening. So I started talking to people when I went there and speaking to sufferers, their families, and just seeing what was going on. I started volunteering, teaching at the school, and I got very close to a lot of young people, youths, that they were so talented, but they didn't have that support to just help them with some of the gifts that they had, that I can see there wasn't. And some of them, their parents were even struggling to pay for them to be in school. So of course it made it very difficult. And with this, I was like, you know, I want to do something. I wanted to help those with sickle cell. I also wanted to help youth, but I didn't want to do two separate organizations. So that's when I came up with starting the Dora Foundation for sickle cell and youth development. Regarding sickle cell, what we plan to do is to be able to have a support center where people can get advice, where we'll also be doing counseling for not just individuals with sickle cell but their families as well, because this is a condition that affects in terms of feeling the pain physically, the sufferer goes through it, but there are also the emotional, psychological impact that it has on the entire family, because when you are seeing your loved one go through so much and you cannot do anything about it, it's very hurtful. Especially as a parent, you see your role is to protect your kids and to be able to be there for them in any way. So feeling helpless is something that's really, really difficult. Sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder. Inherited meaning that you get it from your parents. And my own parents, both of them are carriers, meaning they had the 40 gene. They're not sufferers, they had the 40 gene, which was not dominant, but it was recessive. So when I was born, I ended up taking both 40 genes from my parents, and that's how I ended up getting sickle cell. With sickle cell, our own blood cells, our red blood cells, are not round. Like usually everybody's blood cell is round. Ours is like a banana moon shape, not full moon, like half a moon shape. Because of the shape of them, it makes it very difficult for them to be able to carry oxygen around our body, because red blood cells carry oxygen and other nutrients, and also the shape that they are affect them flowing smoothly like usual red blood cells. So what happens is they get stuck together. And then whatever area that they get stuck at and not able to move freely, and also not able to pass on the oxygen that we need, it then causes a crisis. And this crisis can either develop slowly or it can come all of a sudden. And the crisis involves excruciating pain, which can be any part. Also, although we all have the same condition, our experiences are very different in terms of how we get the pain and what part of our body it affects. For me, it's mostly the joints, but for others, it can be anywhere. Literally, there are times when even my fingers are in so much pain, which is just hard to believe. But yes, there are times even my fingers are affected. And it also, besides getting the excruciating pain, we are prone to a lot of complications. We easily get cold because our immune system is not that strong, so we easily get infections, which then can also lead to other complications and a crisis. So it's very hard to treat because of that, because it can affect any part. It can bring about any complications. So it's very hard. So far, there hasn't been a cure. But for us, like us that are based in the UK and other part, there have been treatments to manage the pain, and that's all it does, manage the pain. But even with this, it's still a struggle. It's still a struggle at the moment. After when I was pregnant with my kids, my health got really bad, and since then it's been a struggle. And even when I'm not in hospital, I am still in pain and I have to manage. So imagine us that have those sort of facilities, what we're experiencing. So can you think of those that are not so fortunate to have those facilities, what they go through? I have witnessed and been in Sierra Leone in a hospital where a girl had came in with the family that also was having a crisis. We were there at the same time. We got registered and admitted at the same time. This was back in 2012, and the girl was taken to the children's ward. I was in the adult ward. And then later on the morning, I just started hearing crying outside, people screaming, so I tried to get up to get strength and came out to investigate, and I was told that the child had passed away during the night. And it was just so painful. For me, it's like, even though I didn't know this family, it was so close to my heart, because I have been in those sort of situations where my family didn't even know whether I was going to make it through. And I think that pushed me even more so to try and do something. And since setting up in 2015, I officially launched the foundation. And since that time, we have been able to support the people in the community, especially in the Puts-Locker area of Sierra Leone, where at the moment there is no other organization that I know of that is supporting and helping people in that area of sickle cell. They do have in other parts like Freetown, but Puts-Locker doesn't, so that's where we're starting. And since then we've managed to help people within the community, families, even just giving advice. When I was there 2015, before going, I put together an information leaflet, just basically giving information about the condition and then triggers, because speaking to people, a lot of people didn't even know what to avoid, what can trigger the crisis, what they can do. Both the parents and the sufferers, they didn't quite know what to do. So when I went there 2015, I distributed this flyer. Not only that, I explained what it's about. I went into the schools, I spoke to people, teachers as well, just to try and get the community to come together and have better understanding about the condition, instead of always blaming that the individual that is sick, that they're sick all the time. And that's understandable. When a family hasn't even got enough and then a child is constantly sick, they have to foot that bill. We don't have a national health care that covers it, so they have to foot that bill. There was a mom that I had spoken to, that she had 2 kids with sickle cell, so she couldn't have both of them. She couldn't take care of both their health care and also their education. So in the end, she was only able to pay for one child to go to school. So imagine having to make that decision, that only one of my kids will be able to get an education because they're both unwell, and it's such a burden on the family. So imagine that, having to go through that as a parent and as a child as well, feeling like, okay, even if you are the one that gets to go to school, the guilt is going to be there that your sibling cannot be educated because of you. And we are trying to come together to be able to provide support for these people, counseling, training, or for not just for the people within the community, but we want to work with hospitals and medical centers whereby they can come over for, we will have workshops and professionals that will be talking solely about how they as a medical professionals can help, and things that they can try that work. That training will be done by people that are certified to do that at the center. And in terms of youth development, we hope to be able to help because right now in Sierra Leone, since even up to my last visit, I came across so many youths and individuals that they are talented in different ways, not just academic, but also in other areas like sports, music, so many. And you see their work and you're like, wow, but they're not able to pursue that dream, that goal, because they do not have the support or the financial support to be able to do that. And it's very sad. And there was somebody that I came across, and he was very, very good. He at sports, and he was the best. He had been the best even in the whole of local district for a long time. And in order for him to get away from there and compete on a national level, he needed support. So I sponsored him to get him a kit and everything that he needed. And he went on to perform really, really well. And meeting so many people, that brought about other opportunities. Just as they say, I am a firm believer of, give a man a fish, you feed them for a day. You teach them to fish, you feed them for a lifetime. And this is what the foundation wants to do, to give those people the tools for them to be able to then use that to build something for themselves. This will cut down crimes, because when these youths are there, they have nothing for themselves, nothing to do, and they're out just all day thinking, where's the next money gonna come from for me to even eat. It then pushes them into doing things that they don't necessarily want to do, like crime, because they feel like that's the only way, because you're desperate and you feel like that's the only way out, and this is what I need to do to get ahead. So this, with that, us giving them that tool to be able to fend for themselves, we'll be cutting that crime down. We hope to work with big organizations, especially at the airport authority, to secure some internship work experience for some of these youth that are into that sort of field, and also for them to be, just for them to work with those that are in higher positions and just see if this is something that they really want. In terms of job, we are going to help the youth that are under us to make sure they know what a job application is like and how to go about filling it. Also, how to go about job interviews, what you need to do to stand out, things that are important, making sure they have updated CVs, and knowing how to go about to get something for themselves as well. And this is what we plan to do, and doing vocational courses and job that will lead them to getting either jobs or to start something for themselves. So those vocational classes, I think, are very important, especially the world is moving so fast, and now it's becoming more of a computer, electronic dominated world. And if you're not even able to use a simple Word document, you cannot even do that, then how are you going to get ahead? How are you going to be able to compete with those out there? You can't. So these are the skills training that we'll be doing. We'll be working with people, not just there, especially young youths as well, and even in the UK as well, that will be able to be mentors and give advice to those back there. Now you don't need to be in the same place as somebody to be able to help them out, and communication is so much better. So we'll be working with people to link them up with those back home for mentorship, and just for them to be able to have somebody that can give them that advice from different fields, those that have done it. And also some of people that I know and I've been fortunate to meet within the community that are doing very well, so we can arrange for them to be able to do like workshops on their field, their area, what they are good at, and how they will be able to then help others with that, whether it be your makeup artist, and we can then arrange for you to do a workshop on your field. And you don't know, sometimes through that somebody might just be there and be like, oh, this is something that I'm really interested in. Or those that either producing music or videos, and just getting them to work with a lot of these talented youths that are there, because it's not that the talent is not there or they're not ready to put in the work, it's just that the opportunity is not there, and that's what we hope to give to them. And for those with sickle cell, we also hope to be able to provide that support for them, that advice, and bringing the community to have better understanding, raising awareness in different ways to help the communities who have a better understanding of the condition and how they can support others instead of just stigmatizing them. So this is what we plan to do. The name came about, the Dora Foundation. I get asked this a lot. This is my grandma's name. She's one of those people that's always believed in me from the time I was young, and always saw something in me, and that I will be able to go into the world and do something great. So this is for me to be able to honor her. So even when she's no longer around, her memory will last forever through the foundation, and that the work that we hope to do. How you can support us, there's so many ways. If you go to our website, which is www.foundation.org. If you go into our website, there's a lot of information on how you can support us, whether you're an individual or a company. We are looking to work in terms of partnership, sponsorship, and people that want to go into mentoring. We're looking for volunteers that will be able to help to work with the organization, different parts, both here and also within Africa, organizations that we can collaborate with and be able to do something. So, and also, of course, we are also looking for funding, so donation is a big part of it. In order for us to be able to achieve all of this, we need the funding. So this is where we need your help. If you know somebody, if you cannot help, please also pass it on. Share this information with others. Every little helps. Your change can make a big change into somebody's life. Something as small as £1, $1, or whatever it is, it can make a difference in somebody's life. Not just monetary term. If you also have things that you want to give away, we're looking for educational equipment, electronics like computers, books, and anything basically that you have that you don't need. Because remember, one person's trash is another person's treasure, and in such a place, nothing goes to waste. Nothing. So nothing is too small or too big. We will accept anything, and we are open to working with individuals and organizations in any way that suits both of us. So please get in touch, contact us. You can email us info@thedorafoundation.org. That's info@thedorafoundation.org.
Afraid of the challenges you face. Just be ready all the time for you to win the race. We all know nothing good is gonna come easy, but just be strong and work hard. One day you'll make it. Me, I believe in my dreams, and I know for sure that I can do it. I'm lyrically, physically, mentally fit. I stand up tall and I know easy to defeat. You can achieve it if you believe it. No matter what the dream is, yes, you can do it if you keep that dream alive.